Jewish Eskimos. How many endless nights are there spent in the home with our parents when we are children? Thousands upon thousands. And amongst those thousands, how many of those nights are imprinted upon us as if they were yesterday? Not many, I am sure, but sometimes, when one is thrust into the dark, it is only then that they can see the light, shining bright, and for a long, long time thereafter.
The snow was falling for 2 days, piling up a heavy 9 feet of an impenetrable white wall, curtaining the windows and turning daylight into night. Power lines, whipped by the winds, succumbed and lay buried under the snow, a victim of winter's vengeance. It wasn't our first rodeo, so we were prepared with dozens of candles. But this family was not raising dummies, just sitting around the kitchen table without a wise thought in mind. We figured out that the candles might not last as long as the ones that burned on for eight nights, as the legend of Hanukkah taught us was the miracle of our ancestors. We needed an updated miracle, one that could provide light beyond our collection of skinny little twisted, colorful holiday candles that would never continue to burn beyond the next few hours. "Okay," my father announced, "I know we must own a flashlight. I thought I saw one in the kitchen junk drawer." Dad stood up and took my hand. "Come on, princess. Let's do a little scavenger hunt. Your little fingers are a much better tool for this job than my big paws. Let's do this." "I found it, Daddy. And there's even another one in here." I held up the 2 hefty black cylinders as I jumped up and down in a triumphant dance. "Now let there be light," my father proclaimed. I slid the switch on each flashlight and watched as the beams of light danced on along the walls and ceilings of our tiny little kitchen. We were still cold, but at least we could now see each other shivering. Caught up and worried with a sudden serious thought, I pulled my father's hand, coaxing him back towards the kitchen. "Daddy, I'm worried about Monkey Face Doll and the goldfish. Can we check on them, please?" "Okay, Monkey Face, lead me to your friends." I grabbed my doll from my pillow, folding him into the crook of my arm. Daddy shone the flashlight on the fishbowl. With a sigh of relief, I smiled as I watched Goldie and Fishcake swim in graceful circles, their wispy golden tails propelling them around and around. Reassured that all was good with the world, Dad and I rejoined my mom and big brother at the kitchen table. I was happy. The radiators were laboriously spitting out wisps of steam, but we were still cold. Mom stood up and went into the kitchen to boil some water for tea. I looked across the table as my big brother wrapped his scarf more securely around his neck. I buttoned my sweater up to the top and stuffed Monkey Face under my cardigan and closer to my heart. Mom returned with 4 steaming cups of hot tea. My father sipped his tea and winked at me as I caught his eye. My mom hummed a tune. I giggled to myself as I imagined the 4 of us sitting at the table floating on a giant patch of ice. Our igloo had melted despite the cold. We were an Eskimo family just sipping tea and floating down a frozen river. Was there such a thing as Jewish Eskimos, I asked myself. Dad, I think, sensed that the mood was getting darker around the kitchen table. "Hey guys, let's go into the living room, get all comfy, and let's add some music to this dismal day." "Sounds good to us." Mom popped up from her chair. She grabbed a blanket from the corner of the sofa, and Mummy wrapped herself as she settled into the corner of the couch. Stanley and I shared the big fan chair, settling a blanket across our laps. Dad moved towards the old piano, bent down, and opened the flap on the piano bench. Rifling through music sheets, he retrieved one and closed the bench. Leaning over the keyboard, he found the 2 panels that slid left and right, exposing a giant metal cylinder recessed into the chest of the great piano. Skillfully and with enough practice to be a master of an engineering degree, Dad deftly inserted the perforated music sheet onto the cylinder. Satisfied that all was as it should be, he flapped out behind him his imaginary coattails and sat down at the bench. Extending his feet to rest on the wide pedals under the keyboard, he alternated his foot presses until the old piano player began to serenade the audience of 4. The Jacobs Chorus began their sing-along. We knew all the words to every tune the old piano pumped out. Let me call you sweetheart. I'm in love with you. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if we ever get back. My little family of Jewish Eskimos, cuddled under blankets, singing off key. I was happy.